Okay. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Happy November 12th. We've been busy. I guess it's nice to be able to say that. It continues into through October. Our Aging Mastery program has continued weeks 3 through 7. So there were 5 Thursdays in October. We did sleep improvement. Sorry.
Oh, Joan wants to come in.
With a technician from South Shore Hospital. We had a great exercise module with a woman from Quincy College who works with Wayne Westcott, which a lot of people do know. And she also does classes or even presentations at the YMCA in Hanover. Medication management, also a representative, a pharmacist from South Shore Hospital. For advanced planning, we had a couple of local women. It was wonderful. Gwen Morgan, who produced the What If workbook and is coming back to do a full-scale workshop on that, and also Holly Harris, who is an elder law attorney and actually does volunteer for us every 3 months on that rotation. But that was a great module, and also then financial fitness with another local woman, Duxbury, Scituate, Plymouth, and she spoke on just financial remedies and fitness. So that was great. Everybody was very happy with that. And it continues, of course, into November and, in fact, into December for 2 weeks.
That's great.
We had a really very special opportunity having courtroom artist Jane Collins come in October, which was fabulous. I don't know if some of you may have caught it. To talk about her experiences and share stories. She's a great storyteller about many of the trials that she has covered with her illustrations over the years, and even recently in Boston. Of course, the one that springs to mind is the Whitey Bulger and whatnot. So it was great. She's fabulous. It does underscore our need to do better in publicity or try to get things out into the community, because that is something that more people would have enjoyed if we could get them here and find a way to just catch their attention. The Mariner might put it in the paper, but of course it's just a senior column and not everybody will look at it, and even if they do, it's just not noticeable.
Do we ever think of including the Ledger?
We do think about it, and I guess sometimes it should be more far-reaching. And it's funny, a woman from Scituate had a couple of friends come that day who were from Milton, Braintree area. So that was something that did happen, not through our own efforts, but they did come. So probably I could have.
One of the issues is the newsletter's every other month, right?
Well, that is one of the issues, except it was in the newsletter, but still reminders. And of course, we have tried to help that process with the broadcast we can do via voicemail or my senior center. And people do like them, and they're effective for, the people we know. But still, it's just an area I've brought up before in terms of marketing, and it's hard. So something like that was a good example of someone that people would maybe have known and enjoyed.
You know, what we're going to be doing is putting something when we have speakers that we really think the public will love, is to also go into the calendar, weekly calendar.
In the Mariner.
In the Mariner.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I always look at that.
Right.
That's good.
That's great.
It's a good idea. So I just thought I'd bring that up. Moving on then to some other collaborations in town. So the Rotary fundraiser, which was after our last meeting, so even though many of us were there, of course, organized by Lucille and the Rotary Club, many of whom were in attendance along with our board and the community, totaling, I think, about 110 or 120 attendants.
That's great.
So it was great. It was a successful first endeavor for us, and I think we both hope to do more events and work together in other ways over the course of the year. I did help serve dinner that the Rotary Club was sponsoring at St. Luke's, and it was so much fun, and they were so gracious in welcoming my help. It was nice, but I'll also mention, many of the patrons that came for dinner did enjoy that I was there. I mentioned it later, so I appreciate that. And it made me realize it could be something we even offer to do as a board at some time. So I don't know how people get into that rotation, but it was great. It was great. We do have next week something worth mentioning, an emergency preparedness, emergency management presentation Wednesday, November 18th at 10 o'clock here with a representative from MEMA, which is great to get, and also a couple of people representing our own shelter and what we do for that. And Elena from the fire department is coming, and she has written a grant with the Red Cross, so she's going to be talking about what she can do to help primarily seniors, of course, but also is looking for us to provide her with a list of people who would be interested in having the fire department come in
Great idea.
and do a safety check,
Sure.
whether it is hazards in the home, you know, for accidents possibly happening, but also upgrading smoke detectors, CO detectors if they have them, changing batteries if they need that, replacing the smoke detectors if they need that. So
I like that you have the, you're advertising at both entrances. I think when people go by, they read it, it's something quick to see.
Oh, right, our
Whatever way-
sandwich
whether you
boards?
want that way or that way.
No one's taken them yet. Oh,
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that. It is good, it's
The
great.
wind might, though,
Someday
isn't
we'll
it?
have a beautiful
We're not
sign out front, which will do that. I can't wait for that someday. But I did think it was worth mentioning for people either to be here, of course, because it will be, I did think, also we have animal control and the police are also represented. So a lot of players coming in to talk with people here next Wednesday. Something also just mentioning, we've been attempting to try and find a volunteer to help a woman get to church at St. Mary's on Sundays. And they've been helpful, they've been looking, they put it in their bulletin and their social media. I took her one weekend, and it's just not it's not just transportation. It's, you know, you really have to escort this person, and since then I've had another 1 or 2 calls from people that would appreciate that. So I can imagine that down the road it's just going to become a conversation about how to manage that, whether, I think probably previously it's always been at the churches that they've managed to help these people that can't get there otherwise on their own. But transportation-wise is just something that we might end up wanting to talk about or look at. So
Good
just
idea.
thought, because we haven't found anyone. We've had a couple of calls, and then it hasn't worked out, so. In addition to the report that you have in writing, afterwards I thought to include this, but now the Council on Aging is taking responsibility for the senior tax work-off program that the town of Scituate does offer.
Good.
It's been done out of the town administrator's office with Sheila up to this point, but Sheila Manning is retiring. So she asked if I would take it over, and really, it seemed to be a logical thing to do for us. So I'll be learning a little bit more about it, and hopefully talking with departments, because up to this point, they've had 9 this last year, is what I can say. It is $1,000 off the annual taxes at $10 an hour for the rate, which is obviously 100 hours. It's a lot of hours. But the problem, of course, is having the positions that we can place people into.
Do the work, to do the
Well, just
work
what
on it.
work, what
Right.
work.
What are the total number of positions, is it?
They did 9 this year, so it's been a variable thing, and I'm hoping maybe by talking to other departments, and we already have a little bit, we could get a set number, like 15, and just be able to rotate people through and in and out. And if there's a wait list, then we have to figure out how to do that for people, whether,
Right.
you know, there needs to be a shift, or whether we just continually have to add more positions, but
What do they call the program?
tax work-off.
Oh.
So it's one of the abatements offered. The assessor's office does make it clear that if you talk with them, there are other abatements available that they can make seniors over 65 aware of. This is one of them, but this is also something that we can try to advocate for, maybe creating more and just helping seniors with that burden. So I thought that was good.
Can I just add to that, Lynn, a
Yes.
little bit? I think it's still in effect, is if you're a senior, you also have the CPC abatement,
Mm.
which can add up to quite a bit of money.
And I'm not sure what that is.
Well, a percentage of your taxes, I think, what is it, 3% or something?
For the
Oh,
entire
they don't have to
CPC.
contribute to the
Correct.
CPC
So they
funding.
can get,
Oh.
but they have to go in
Right,
and
right,
ask for the
yeah, yeah,
abatement.
yeah.
And
on
ask for that.
Yep.
So that's at the assessor's office, too, so.
Yeah, one of the gentlemen that I work with from the Veterans Council,
Mhm.
he's
Mhm.
tries to get the message out.
Okay,
People that-
that's
What's the
great.
check then?
And they would, if anyone asked, they're happy, they.
It's the CPA, but it's the Community Preservation Act.
Preservation.
Oh, yeah,
Act. So I guess that's the way it would be.
yeah.
It's
By the way
3%.
it shows up on your
That's a good
taxes.
thing to be able to obey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
aware of
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Yep, well, it'll knock out everything that we just had to do at town meeting the other day, so.
Good. Okay. Just to mention any training or development, I went to the MCOA conference, well, only one day last month, which I had told you at our meeting. Laura and Jenny outreach, and as part of the Scituate hoarding response team, went to some hoarding training. I did not go because it was the same week as the MCOA conference.
Where
And
was you in service? Was it Falmouth?
it might have been. Oh, was my MCOA conference was not in Falmouth. Every other year it's in Sturbridge.
Oh.
I prefer
That's
Falmouth.
right.
Yeah.
I knew that.
We talked about that. And Jenny is going to, TAP is Mass Housing's Tenant Assistance Program. So she's been to one training for that, and went to another one this week on housing subsidies and understanding how subsidized affordable housing works. We do have enough walk-ins or people who are in some dire straits about how to find housing, and even though she doesn't, we don't really facilitate the housing applications, even for our own housing complexes. It's good to have the information and to know how to advocate for them, whether it's in other towns or whether to get to farther bills or whatever the situation might be, imminent or long-term. So it seems worth her doing that.
Excuse me, but where is that held, the Mass Tenant?
The Tenant Assistance Program,
Yeah.
I cannot remember.
Okay, sorry. Sorry to
I
ask.
cannot remember where she goes for
I'm
that.
just curious.
I'll find out. I don't think it's even going to come to mind. In terms of office updates, we are ordering, of course, with the help of the Rotary Foundation, thanks to the fundraiser in October, a new smart TV, 65-inch smart TV, which, believe it or not, could actually be installed next week.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. So, there's some other components that could go with that, but at this point, we're at least, and actually, we got a discounted price by, just timing-wise, it actually showed up that there were a few available at a $300 less price, which was good. Still determining the best wall mount and how we might pay for the other components possibly. And also, another debate might be whether we get cable here. So not sure if that's something that's worthwhile, but it would be nice really to have the opportunity to watch some of our own local cable right here on the television.
Yeah.
You can send me an email because there are certain departments in the town that actually, they get signed off, so you don't have to actually pay.
Okay.
Terrific.
And
Oh,
that's
wonderful.
Yeah.
That's
because
a good
at town
discount.
hall-
I think this is one of them.
Yeah, at town hall, it's an emergency situation. I mean, they need to see what's going on, so.
Well, that would be nice, and I was hoping if I touched enough contacts, I might find that out. So
Yeah,
that would be great.
I'll set you up with somebody at
Because it would be
the,
nice.
the big
Okay.
compact place down.
Okay, call John.
Cool.
I will.
Nice.
And lastly, as far as the report goes, I have been invited now to present my ideas and opinions for priorities and space considerations for a potential new senior center with the Building Reuse Committee, and that will take place next Thursday night at 7 o'clock, November 18th. And in fact, they needed
So
meeting
19th.
space, so it's here.
19.
19th, thank you.
That's great that they're meeting here.
Now,
It is,
will Dr. Price
It
be
was pretty
co-presenting
tight
with you?
before, where we were.
He
He'll,
couldn't be here tonight because of his knee surgery,
This is pretty
but
tight.
he's not I mean, he
will he be presenting with you?
will be there.
Since
No,
he
I'm
attended-
I'm doing my
Yeah,
own
he's our
presentation.
presenter?
Yeah.
Yes.
I just,
He
I was
may be
curious
asked to
because he
follow.
attended so many of the meetings.
Well, he's part of the
He's part of the-
committee.
Right, yeah.
I'm invited in as a
Okay.
guest to speak. He will be there. He may be asked to follow up if he has any comments.
Maybe they're in Kochi.
Is this open to the public?
Yeah.
It is, right. And the public has attended, I'm told, so they didn't know where to meet. That might accommodate that.
7 PM here.
7 PM here. And we do have an art class beforehand, so we're having to ship them out a little early and reset up. So don't be too early. There'll be no place for you.
Don't ever worry.
So moving on then to Q's transportation report, which you can see, and what she simply mentions is many more rides this month. She seems to think because we have a little more going on here and people do need rides, that we're accommodating them, which is great. And also, Lisa, who is here with us tonight, has planned, a fair number of trips that have been well-received and are using our vans often enough. So we do have a third driver who often does that, and then we were lucky enough over the summer to get a couple of drivers who drive for the school full-time, but may have either weekends or evenings if we're using them, that they're available to drive. So that's been working out great.
It's great to walk, to drive by and see all the cars.
Yeah,
Both in the drive here and out front.
I know. Well, somebody asked me how many parking spaces we had, and truly, I had to stop and think, and I wanted to say, you mean with lines? Or all the others that we just create and use, because there's a difference in the number.
True.
So, we do pretty well for just squeezing in when we have to. Okay, the outreach coordinator, Jenny Gervis's report, you can just take note of the numbers. And again, she's just giving you an idea of how many people she is assisting, whether it's fuel assistance, Medicare, housing, as we talked about, benefits in general, or giving resources for home care, etc.
How many homeward bound seniors are there?
I actually don't have that number.
That we know about.
Right, there's that we know about.
It just says I continue to make home visits to the homebound,
Right.
and I think that's great, so I just wondered.
If they call and they have a need to meet with her, and there is, and they don't really come out and use the transportation even for that matter, she'll go out to their homes.
Okay.
Laura's report, social services, she gave us a slightly different format, which I think is good. So she's giving you some numbers for the clients over 60 that she may meet with or respond to needs for. So you can see just for this last month, 61 duplicated,
Yeah.
15 unduplicated. So that's 15 clients, but that number of times that she's may have had to meet with them is quite a lot more. And again, I mentioned the homelessness or the at-risk housing issues, and that comes up again with her. And oftentimes, she and Jenny are working together. But the caregiver support group is worth mentioning here because we do have that. It's a monthly meeting. They happen to meet at St. Mary's. It is a general caregiver support group, even though oftentimes, of course, caregiving boils down to Alzheimer's, dementia, loved ones, but it is for anyone who is, in fact, a caregiver, whether just for their elder parent or anyone with issues or questions is welcome to attend that. It's on the third Wednesday of the month at noontime at St. Mary's.
Can I go back for just
Mhm.
one question? Mental health issues, are they referred to?
They can be, absolutely.
I'm
She
just
can
wondering how
use
we
protective
handle it.
protective services through social elder services may get involved. Laura will assess often and has the skill set to do more if needed or for as
Great.
long as needed until she can get another resource to help them out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We do list other support groups in the newsletter, which is great to know because they are around local, other NVNAs, a local resident, Bonnie Haley, who's a social worker, has one as well. So other times, evenings, maybe things that are more convenient, but ours is facilitated, led by Laura and someone from Social Elder Services as well. We are in the process of developing, soliciting volunteers and working on how to promote and organize the Friendly Visitor Program. So that is coming along. The dog therapy program is much like that, a little bit of a Friendly Visitor Program. with
How
the
does
dogs.
that work? I'd
Yeah.
just like to know the.
Right, right. Well, Laura has the...
People come in with their dog?
Yes. So we have 2 people who have therapy dogs who have been trained specifically to be with people.
They have to be therapy dogs.
They have to be
Right,
therapy
yeah.
dogs,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
And then they visit in the home with the client, so they're matched to a
That's tremendous.
to a point.
Tremendous.
Mhm, they are, it's really, it's nice. So those are the highlights from her report as well. And then I did include on the back of that, if you have her report, Jenny and Laura, for the most part right now, are spearheading an effort to make contact with people that in the past, we have a list. We have a list of over 80 resident clients, at risk possibly, but maybe collected from lists perhaps the fire department had or other storms, or just when they've been at the shelter and we've collected their names. So now we have this list, and in anticipation of emergencies and storm issues, we just want the list to be accurate. We want to make sure people want the phone calls, and so they're going through that list right now And this is just a draft of a letter they're going to send out and find out from them. They can send it back if they don't want. There's going to be a postcard in there. If they don't want to be contacted by us, if they don't want to be on the lift, if they don't think they're at risk, if they don't need
great
the
idea.
assistance. So, just thought you might like to be
Can I
aware of
ask you a
that.
question about that, Lynn?
Mhm.
So we had talked probably a year or so ago about like an ICE contact list as far as for some of these seniors. Have we gotten anywhere on that?
Nice.
No, you know, in case of an emergency, like a
Fragile.
contact?
Well, this would be the one, and this is
Okay.
the one we would give to the fire department
Right.
if they asked.
Okay.
And so we're just trying to make it better.
Right.
And
And updated.
Yeah.
update it every year.
Yeah.
So we've made the calls.
Because I talked to a couple of veterans yesterday.
years.
And they're very concerned about that
Yes.
as well. And
Okay.
they'd like to find out.
They want to
if
be
there's-
on the list?
They'd like to be
They want to be on the
list.
list. So I want to make sure that they are, and that, I'm sure that they're in contact with Dawn, but that's assuming these people are in contact with Dawn as well, right? And that he knows about them.
Yeah, he
Dawn
didn't make
Knapp.
it yesterday, otherwise we would have had a little conversation just to try and put it together.
Okay. Thanks. So, and because Lisa is here with us tonight, not to make her speak, I probably mentioned some of the things, but we can let her do her report herself. Thank you.
See, I can start reading it. October focused on health, wellness, and advanced planning, mixed with some lifelong learning classes, music, and entertainment. The Aging Mastery, which Linda spoke about, has been very well received, with many original participants continuing to come through October, enjoying our expert speakers. We've continued to provide a healthy breakfast spread, serving oatmeal with a variety of healthy toppings, yogurt, and fresh fruit.
Perfected that oatmeal, boy.
You have.
It's good? Very good. Okay. I comments every week. Thank you for the fresh fruit. It was delicious. Many attendees say that they look forward to enjoying the healthy breakfast and appreciate the beautiful buffet each week. Our expert guest speakers have provided lots of relevant information on topics such as healthy eating and hydration, sleep, exercise and you, medication management, and advanced planning. The next paragraph talks about some of our cafe talks and men's breakfast, some of which Linda spoke about. We had John Dennehy come in and speak to the men at Widows Walk Golf Pub. That went very well. He was very comfortable just answering just questions on the fly and talking about what's going on, and timelines for some projects in town. Linda spoke about Jane Collins, the courtroom artist. We had Captain Brad come in for the burials at sea. I said, I'll have to read this. Let's see. He spoke on a more serious topic, burials at sea, but managed to provide a sea of wonderful information in an upbeat way.
He's good. He's good at
He
it.
was very good. You would think it would be a very grim topic, but there's lots of moving parts to this, and it's definitely a nice consideration for families. Continuing on the theme of advanced planning, we learned about senior housing options from Two Sisters Living Advisors. Seniors were able to gain knowledge about new options for themselves or friends and families. She's offered to come back again. A lot of the few people that attended felt it was great information just to be able to share that knowledge with, just people they know, not necessarily, specifically for themselves. And then Norm, our Shine volunteer, presented an hour-and-a-half information session on Part D and Medicare open enrollment for 20 people on changes, answering questions, walking through the Part D form. We're having another one
Great.
next week.
This Tuesday, next Tuesday, the
The
17th.
17th at 1 o'clock.
Got my dates right now.
So we've had a lot of continuing attendance growth, and fitness. We've had Mahjong this fall, which has been great. Knitting's continued. Art has, I think, had some increased attendance this fall. We had some movies, scary. No ghosts and goblins, but many Halloween decorations, popcorn, apple cider, pumpkin, cookies. And then a large group on Sunday, October 18th, rode the van to a tea in Marshfield at the Victorian Tea at the Daniel Webster Estate. Everyone enjoyed that, and so we booked another visit for December when they decorate for the holidays.
That's good. Nice.
So it seems like, just from, I think looking from last month, or the previous month to October, there definitely seemed like an increase in participation, which was nice.
So much more going on.
Yep,
There
a lot
is.
more
It's nice
going
if you have
on.
that feeling, that's
Yeah.
good.
Really
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
That's good.
And we've gotten a lot of calls to, for volunteers. We've been advertising in the Mariner, and people are calling. They said,
Wonderful.
Good.
I've seen the
That's
ad,
good.
and we've had some new volunteers, which have been a great kind of asset so far. They came right in and picked things up quickly and have taken initiative, and it's been wonderful to have them. Lynna Pollard was one. She's back. She had been here before. She says, it's definitely very, very different feeling, she said, here. I feel
Nice.
very comfortable and very welcome, and that
Nice.
I'm needed, which was really nice feedback. And Sue Ellen Logan is one of our new volunteers. So that's great. It's good news.
Lisa and Linda, will there be any, at this point, do you know of any plans for a Christmas festivity? Any kind of
Yes,
celebration?
you know, I actually didn't include the newsletter,
Yeah,
which we
right.
have, of course, and has been mailed and may have been received, because people were calling about things. It was late, unfortunately, they lost it last week.
I think it's the 22nd.
We are having
maybe a
something,
Tuesday.
some entertainment and luncheon here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in the newsletter.
Yeah, it's in the newsletter?
It is.
Yes, it is.
Oh, geez, I missed that.
Got to read that newsletter cover to cover now, because we have to squeeze so much
Yeah,
into
I thought I
it.
read it cover to cover. That's why I sent you an email today. I didn't know if there was, I'll have to read it again.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, I already read it 3 times. I better put
You
Dr.
can't read it
Price's
too much,
glasses
you
on.
can't.
Yeah, There's not too much white space, that newsletter.
Thank you, Lisa.
Very good.
So,
Very nice.
yep, that's us, I guess. That's all of us.
Joan, you want to tell us about South Shore Elder Services?
The annual picnic they had in Hull this summer was very successful. It was good weather. We approved an increase of 2.9% for Lindley, that's the caterer for the Meals on Wheels.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
The legislative breakfast is scheduled for Friday, January 8th at the Neighborhood Club in Quincy. And they're been having a lot of more increase of media coverage with Twitter, not so much Facebook, but Twitter, but on the internet, the website, in newspapers and television. And one of the big ads, which they didn't have to pay for, on aging and disability, is in the South Coast Magazine of Massachusetts and Rhode Island. And they're one of the symbols listed, so they were happy about that.
Oh, nice.
They also there was an article in the Patriot Ledger on October 12th, making more elders and disability people eligible for home care, and they quoted the director, Sandra, Chief Executive Officer at South Shore Elderly Services in Braintree strongly supports mass home care advocacy, especially by using the new social media. We are doing our best to tweet information with links and updates to our followers to keep folks up to date with the changes and the latest information on activities at the state and federal level, she said in an email. And through the media, they had Anonymous donated $20,000.
Wow.
And this goes into a special fund where other things aren't covered, like heat and other special needs. And this is something they really needed, so that was really appreciated.
Give them a map to Scituate. Give the anonymous donor, give them a map to Scituate.
Tell them about a senior center.
They talked about the health insurance, as you probably know, has increased. And there was talk about the Social Security is not increasing, and it was in the news and all that they were going to increase the medical. But Beth was at the advisory committee where someone came and told them officially that people who are on Social Security now, their medical would not increase. people who are just going on to it, it would be increased.
Oh.
The audit was presented, which is a big thing, and it was approved. There was any problems. South Shore Elderly Service is very fortunate in having Terry O'Brien as their treasurer, so they said how great a job she did, the audit people. And South Shore Elderly, they continue to grow in all areas. A new thing is they're working with Father Bill because Father Bill's told them that there's more people over 60 that are coming to the shelters.
Yeah.
So what they try to do is go to the shelters while the people are waiting in line and see what their needs are.
Oh,
wonderful.
Wow, that's being proactive.
The
That's terrific.
staff at Father Bill's is not really experienced in working with people over 60.
is that right?
Yes. I was
Wow.
surprised, and probably Joan was too, to hear that. So now they're collaborating.
Interesting.
And South Shore Elder Service they're going to help Father Bill's staff
Yeah.
in dealing with that.
That has come up
Great
with a
idea.
couple of the people who have come in here looking for assistance, and to send them there, especially if it's a woman, older, it's a little hard. I guess that's a hard
It's very difficult.
place to send them to. Not that they're not
Yeah.
doing a great job, but that it is one of the tougher clients to have.
Just the health needs
Yeah.
might be different. you know.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
they're kind of limited because they only can really get to them while they're waiting for.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that is
Yeah.
not an ideal situation.
No,
But lucky to have it, too.
too
Lucky.
much privacy.
Also, the agency's doing a lot more work with the veterans. And in an article on October 6th, Sandra reported that she and Ren went to the naval base in Newport, Rhode Island, and met with Senator Mike Rush. He had been a senator since 2010, and before that, he was a representative from 2003 to 2010. He is a chairman of the Joint Committee on Veterans Affairs and a member of the Ways and Means. He is a lieutenant commander in the Naval Reserves, and he is very happy with our outreach plans to veterans. He stated to us that we should go to Handsome or Bedford. So they are doing more to connect with
Great.
veterans, so that was another thing that they're doing. And the annual meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, November 18th at Lantana's at 10 o'clock.
Thanks,
you.
Joan.
Thanks, Joan.
Thanks, Joan.
All right, does anyone have any questions? All right, Betty, do you want to talk about the Friends of Scituate Seniors?
I'll start by saying that currently, the Friends of Scituate Seniors has in excess of 200 members. So we're kind of pleased with that. We're hoping that we'll double it in the next 12 months, but we're very pleased with the way things have been going. Comparable to what's happening here, more activities, more people involved. We've had 2 very successful fundraisers, a lot of help. The fundraisers were a credit to Carol King and Sandy Duffy, who just did wonderful, wonderful work for us.
And everybody had such a wonderful
Oh,
time.
yeah,
With the ball.
everybody, people from out of town
Yeah.
on the trivia thing, yeah, they had a good time. I think Pat's Table won, didn't they?
No, we didn't win.
Oh, you
We had a pretty
second, oh,
close score,
second
but we
place.
didn't. I heard Joan won.
Yes. Anyway.
We did.
That's
It
important.
was nice to
The fix
see all
was
the
in.
familiar faces there. Upcoming, we have a craft sale that some of our members are working on that will happen on the Friday after Thanksgiving at St. Mary's. And it's connected with an activity that's going on there that has to do with babysitting and their Knights of Columbus women. And I don't know any more details except that it's the day after Thanksgiving and there's a group of people from Foss that have been very active putting together a bunch of crafts.
Good.
I think that's all I have. Nothing else is new. We're pleased to have worked with the Scituate Senior Center and the Rotary, and we hope that we can do it a lot in the future.
Great, thank you.
I just want to mention that the St. Luke's dinner is, so people know, it's always the 4th Sunday, it's not the last. So it's
Fourth
going to be the Sunday before Thanksgiving, and it's going to be pork loin.
Ooh.
Great. Thank you.
The Rotary?
No, this is
St.
St.
Luke's.
Luke's.
Just
Just St. Luke's.
sponsored by St.
Mhm.
Luke's.
Community dinner, it's not just seniors.
Once a
Kim.
month.
I don't know who worked it.
How about the final report on the program subcommittee? You're on.
Okay. All right. Well, we did meet, and we did prepare our final report,
Here's
and
three.
we kind of concentrated on categories of programs rather than a lot of specifics, because we were trying to come up with space needed. And then we met with Linda on Tuesday, and she has this fabulous report that she's going to present on next Thursday
Next week, yeah.
with the reuse committee. And everything in our report is in Linda's report. So we all decided that our report is here, and you're very welcome to read it, but I'd like to concentrate and have Linda present her report, because it encompasses everything that we
Well,
came up
right,
with.
I mean, it underscores that most people are thinking the same way in terms of what they would like, and certainly in my experience, either I've had it, I've done it, or I would like to, and have just been waiting for the opportunity to be able to, and it's good that but not to say that other ideas haven't come up and been included, just to give everyone the impression that space, whatever it is, will be used for any number of activities that would serve the older senior community here, and into the next decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. So it's a fluid thing always. So yes, the subcommittee's report is here, and certainly I took that into consideration when compiling my own. Dr. Price, there's also a page of some items that he included from talking with other senior centers, or maybe what he saw us doing. So that's in the stapled packet that I gave you. Most of that, of course, is included in mine as well. That's that, yes, just that list. And then in addition, so mine it's a table format, and, it's my work product that I plan to use to give to the committee next week. So I just thought it would be thoughtful of me to sort of include you and let you know what I'm doing, but that this is something that I was asked to do, and will be giving out to the committee next week. And it may change a little bit. But just looking at the ideas of the rooms, the idea that it's a large dining area that also hopefully is dividable and can be a multi-purpose area for other uses, before and after lunch, the fact that we'd love to do a daily congregate lunch, most days anyway, home-delivered meals out of our own site, and there's many good reasons for doing that, that I'm sure everybody else here is aware of. But of course, that also requires a good commercial kitchen with plenty of storage and offices for kitchen staff. My idea, just the ideal open area, welcoming. I mean, it's not people come in, if they come in the front door, of course, they see our front desk. But more than that, really, to be able to see activity happening fairly immediately, to be welcomed, to be directed, to be given information if that's what they need right off the bat. An open cafe sort of seating area, because that is one of the trends. So congregate lunches have their place in larger events, but so does the more fluid, in for an exercise class, grab a soup, meet with a couple of friends for a half an hour, and then, go on to the next scheduled activity, which everybody has these days. Administrative offices, certainly the staff as it is now, but that could grow and change and needs to be considered to have plenty of opportunity to do that. So maybe housing some of the staff together in one room.
You have the multi-purpose room, is that where you are now?
I am on administrative.
Administrative.
All right.
Grade 3.
So, I grade, or shaded, I should say, the area where it was the entrance area. And then it's back to white space for the administrative and staff accommodations on page 3. Also, taking into account outreach offices, but that really our outreach and potentially social services, as much as they can be with us, or she, needs privacy, obviously could be a separate area. Even maybe a separate entrance, not required, not critical, but also to be able to accommodate our professional volunteers that come in, whether it's the Shine counselor, who is here, 4 times a month for a good part of the day. And at this point, of course, displaces Jenny, so we can have an office with a door. But also, we have the legal counselors that come in and could potentially do better with nurse and health opportunities. We do have the town nurse come in and do blood pressure checks once a month, but obviously she really doesn't have a place to do that, and it would be great if we could offer other foot care, different kinds of screenings, possible chair massages and Reiki and other things that people, could do that some of the professionals would offer in a condensed format, but, we at this point just can't offer that. So that would be the hope there, too. Meeting classrooms, I mean, that's what they are. They're everything. They're rooms. And we'd love a few so that we could have simultaneous meetings, activities, groups, classes, whatever it would take, maybe with a capacity of 20 to 30 in at least a couple of them. And then it's always appreciated a smaller room for smaller groups, support groups that need more intimacy, a meditation, something like that. Card games, but still to be able to put out 4 or 5 card tables in a room for bridge or mahjong or whatever. And mahjong will grow to 4 or 5 card tables, I guarantee.
It would.
Yeah.
I was always concerned with social service and violating HIPAA. I think it's been very difficult, and I think it's something we need attention. And that should be stressed, the need for privacy.
And it's not just a courtesy, right?
No.
It's really required.
No, it's the law.
Required by law.
Yep. So the classrooms or the meeting rooms are really critical. And I simply mentioned conference-style tables, whiteboards, electronic presentations. I mean, the idea that we'd have the television here, but that would go with us when we leave, and we could potentially need more than one if we were doing that many lifelong learning classes, ultimately as programs or any other programs. Everybody uses PowerPoint today or other presentation formats. Fitness rooms. So, we need a good-sized fitness room, but we could use 2 fitness rooms, and some of that's dependent upon what else we are able to bring in or the space that we have. So, of course, 1 would be great. 2 would be better, and if we were to go, which is later in the table, but if we were to be able to go with a social day program for respite for caregivers, then we're either sharing space, which is difficult to do, or accommodating them with some dedicated space, so they'd have a dedicated classroom, meeting room, and they'd have potentially a dedicated fitness room as well, or at least we'd share that. Again, being flexible, your multi-purpose room oftentimes can do your line dancing or do something if you're bringing that in. So it isn't to say, like I have said, it's fluid. You see what the opportunities are, what do you want to put in there, what do we have to offer? It's just that you need
Multi-purpose.
you need a lot of opportunity, a lot of multi-purpose stuff. So just trying to look at the variables and explain why that would be an ideal to have. Arts and craft room, something with a sink, of course, and plenty of storage for the variety of things that we'd like to do. We have a thriving art community, and the art classes are really very crowded for this space here. And we're lucky to have Joanne Papadrea, who's been doing these classes for 10 years, at least. In addition, the knitters, I mean, we need to buy new tables for the knitters. So, and that's just a fun activity and offers opportunity for intergenerational, and I mean, 50 through 90, and then you bring in the idea that maybe, they could do some teaching and interacting with younger people, but it's just that it's grown quite a bit. A game room would be great, cards and games, as I mentioned, and that could be one of the meeting rooms, it could be another room. It could be a donated pool table if you want something like that, dedicated, because of course it can't move. Or it could be a portable ping pong table that folds up and gets put away and is used at certain times, either of the day or the week, or other times, in fact. So again, all the options. Computer lab, opportunity for technology use. Things are changing there too, but you still have need for some workstation seating. I would love to have Ancestry.com, available with a subscription, and to have a group that might meet and help teach other people to do that through either volunteers or we could help. So the idea that public computers here are used, and we are encouraging, and in fact, I am poised to get a little bit of training, not that much should be needed, but we will become a site for the RMV so that people could come here and be helped to log in to the Registry of Motor Vehicles if they needed to renew their licenses or change their addresses. There's a list of things that they hope to not have to make people go there for if there's a resource locally.
How
And so
wonderful
we
not
can
to
do
go
that.
to
It's
the
easy.
Registry of Motor Vehicles. Wow.
We help people now with other stuff, why not? And so whether it's benefits or this kind of thing, but you need public computers for that as well. We are doing more iPad training and would like to be able to offer support for that or any mobile devices people might want. And then there's the outdoor space, the ideal outdoor space. Of course, you want a patio, you want to be able to have lunches outside in the summer, yard games potentially. We mentioned specifics, but I mean, it just depends. Could we have bocce? Would we do, badminton out there possibly? Could we have a pickleball court? I mean, we're just saying. We could, we would. So those ideas are there. A community garden, whether it's a garden that we simply use in the kitchen or whether it's something that has greater, overall benefits for the community. We'd love that. Something meditative, a labyrinth, memorial, anything that just gives people space. A walking path potentially. I mean, again, it depends on the space we get. If it's available, why not? If there's a way to connect wherever we are to the downtown or another area that allows them sort of access and egress to other parts of Scituate that they'd like to get to, that would be great. So, just more ideas. And then proposed, of course, we would welcome veteran services in the building with us, but of course that depends on whether they want to be there or it works out, but we'd certainly welcome them. And we'd love to be able to have a social day or respite program that we offer the community here.
And there are grants available for veterans, back to that for a second.
I'm
So- And there's
sure.
percentages, space used and all that, so that's a
Right.
pretty good.
I mean, it boils down to really office space, and then they get the use of whatever we have going on for
Exactly.
events. If he wants to have a breakfast, we're
Call
sharing.
everything veterans.
Veteran- Oh, that's true. Well, we could do that. And other possible, parking, we need plenty of parking, of course. Whether the health department would have offices with us, whether FACS would have an office with us, whether Dr. Price had mentioned about peer recovery, whether there's something else that the space could accommodate. We're looking certainly at 15 or 16,000 square feet when you look at all of that. So let's hope that that's convincing enough.
Good job.
Nice job.
And you know what, and not unimportantly, the space doesn't sit doing nothing when the senior center's closed. So other potential uses
Open to the
are
community.
important and encouraged, because that
Yes.
means more people are walking into the
right.
building and seeing
Yeah.
what it is and can be.
Yes.
So whether it's
Various
town
groups
department
in
committee
town,
meetings
sure.
and receptions, memorial services, but also rentals
Right.
and meetings, trainings. It really, it could be, we could offer it out to a lot
Could
of
just
people.
go on and on.
Absolutely.
Once you start thinking about it.
So that's a positive thing and something that I would hope that they would see and want. So that is what
Okay.
potentially I will be saying next week.
Very good.
Nice
Wonderful.
Good.
Any
Wish you a
questions?
lot
The
of
preview.
luck, that's for sure.
Well, thank you for all of your help and all of your input, which of course I hope you see in that.
We'll all sit here and cheer after you complete it.
Thanks, okay, yeah.
Is there going to be a strong emphasis on respite care? I mean, are you gonna
I don't mean to say that necessarily. It's something I'd love to do, but whether it's practical or...
is this a strong point in your wish list?
Not really.
It's not a priority, but
No.
it is,
No.
it's something I
Tremendous
hope.
undertaking.
I would like to
Because
do
I just thought that was, brought out in the survey, and
Mhm.
we as the board had talked about that previously as being important,
It is.
after the survey was published. And I still think it's a very important, to have a place for the
Mhm.
folks to go and give caregivers a real break.
It is important, and there are a lot of ways to support.
As
Yeah,
any of these
there
other
is,
issues.
great.
That's my
There's a
personal-
lot of ways to support caregivers, so I don't think it was specific in the survey about needing this. I would like to do this, so don't interpret this as being not something that I would favor. But when you say priorities, and you're looking for something that's a practical building space at
Yeah.
this
I'm
point.
sure
Because it would be a large space.
It would be a large undertaking.
And I'm sure that will fall right
First
into
step
place.
is getting in a
Once-
building.
Well,
Yeah,
obviously,
once
I
we get
realize
through.
that, Linda.
Well,
I mean,
just as,
Didn't,
just a little comment on that, so if you look at, I mean, Quincy's got a pretty nice senior center, and they've got a lot of programs in there, but
Yeah.
most of the seniors from the city of Quincy, as well as surrounding communities, they end up, they're at a daycare center, basically at Hancock Park, so they're not really designed, even with that senior center being as good as it is, there are people in it's an adult day health program.
right, right. And
That's a separate
right.
Yeah.
It's a big undertaking. I mean, yeah.
That's what I mean, so you've got to
hard to
kind of
mix.
draw the line somewhere as to
Right.
where.
That is a
Mixed
major,
population.
in my experience,
Yeah.
major.
It would be a major.
well, they had one in
undertaking.
St. Luke's, is that what it was?
No,
Went out of
but not
business.
now.
Well, no, I know, but they had one,
Yes.
and they couldn't, it couldn't
That's right.
sustain itself.
It probably
Yeah.
gets,
Couldn't
probably gets a
sustain
little,
itself. This was about maybe
you-
4
you have
years
different
ago.
levels.
However, Duxbury's sustains theirs very well.
Right, well, and it's evolved, and they didn't do everything right at once. So they started with a certain model, the 2 days a week in the shared space, and it's grown, and now it's 5 days a week. And people
That's very
come,
good.
obviously, from other towns because there is not another facility close by to Pembroke or Scituate, for that matter, Marshfield. But there will be more.
Great relief.
And it would be great. It's a great model. It would
Sure
work
is.
for us. Just takes time.
Okay.
So thanks.
Well, we're at a discussion
Oh.
of proposed senior
Oh.
center community
Okay.
event.
I forgot I threw that in. Well,
That's you, Linda.
it is, sorry, talking too much.
No, that's what we're here for.
Oh, gosh, what is it? So,
listen.
what did I want to do now? I almost forgot. I know what it is. Thanks to some friends, I have been introduced and went to hear the brothers duo that plays at PJ's
Oh,
on
yeah,
Thursday
Brown
nights,
Brothers.
regular Brown
Brown
Brothers.
Brothers,
And, they just have such a great mix of music, and I've been wanting to come up with some way to have a little bit of an evening event, something different out of the norm, not just a senior center activity, but an event, which, it could be a fundraiser. I mean, ordinarily, that would be something that we as a senior center would do regularly, 3 or 4 times a week. We just don't have that model, but I would like to do that. So the idea that maybe the board would like to sort of get involved in doing that, so it's just sort of put ourselves out into the community. It could be a fundraiser. That's just tricky because people writing checks to us is just a little different. We're not the 501(c) that the Friends are. So just opportunity to discuss and say, do we want an event? Do we think that the board wants to get into that? They might not. It's not typically what the board does as an advisory entity, but I just would like to do it. So we had a thought, or I had a thought.
Okay.
Maybe nearer to Valentine's Day, maybe somewhere around there, and I did talk to Wilson briefly about that, and he thought that was a good date. We still have to find a venue, of course, which could be St. Mary's, because it seems like we can do everything there, or we want to do everything there, or the River Club, which would be bigger, depending on the cost, but maybe tag it a little bit, love your senior center, so the sort of taking the Facebook-like idea, and talk about love, near Valentine's Day, love your senior center, and just...
That's a good idea.
A lot of times fundraisers aren't always fundraisers, they're really community awareness raisers.
That's right.
And it's nice to sort of make a little money, but sometimes when you break even, it's just okay, because people had a good time, you brought people in that might not have otherwise, come through the door. And-
Can we do that without a 503(c)?
Yeah, I don't think we can.
I don't know. I'm
Well, we can
asking.
have an activity, we can have an event.
But
We can
you're
have
calling it a
an
fundraiser.
But we
Yeah,
can't, may not.
I don't think
Change
board
it
members
to
can be
event.
involved in fundraising. I think that's something I recall from what we had to do to.
So I think when that's the case, the checks have to be written, somewhere else. Or it could be something I thought
We
about
could
for fuel
certainly work
assistance,
on it.
if it was a
Oh, I know.
gift.
I just, that's an honest question.
It is a good question,
Yeah.
no, it is,
Yeah, I
and
don't
I'm not
think we
sure
can
all
be
the
involved in
stipulations, just because
fundraising.
I've always had the friends to be able to do that with. Well, we did it
We
with
can do
Rotary.
that, but but I
Yeah.
don't think we can.
My only thought was that if we did it and we raised money, let's say, for a gifts, not gifts to the community, fuel assistance for people in need, that could be something that we end up funneling the money into. So in a sense, It is a senior center thing, but it's for others. So it's just, like I said, just discussion, because I'm not sure, and I'm only sort of proposing, and maybe people have other ideas.
I think it's a great
for how-
idea.
Oh, I'd
Tremendous
be happy to
idea.
work on it, I just don't
Okay.
want to start any, I think
We'd have to
possibly you should look
research.
into
Yeah, I
if
think
we
she's
can do
right.
it,
Well,
We can't.
you know.
Yeah, I think she's right.
And time-wise, we need
But-
to
We would have to
pick
get
a
sort of
date.
going on it, yeah.
You know, get going.
Well, I was sort of waiting to talk to you first before I did anything
Love
to.
your senior center.
Love your seniors.
Who's
I
the
like it.
director of the
I like
I
that,
can't think of the
yeah.
gentleman's name, who did the training for the board. people.
Emmett?
Emmett.
Yeah.
I mean, Emmett would know, wouldn't he? Yeah.
The online training that we
Right,
had,
the-
whatever
yeah.
it's called.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
we
think
all
it did say something about us being involved in fundraising.
I still have
think
the
you ought
notes
to
on the
get-
board
get
training that we
some-
went to. I don't know if that's
Yeah, we didn't
included
discuss
or
it
not.
then, that recent
Yeah.
one, but I'm sure he does.
Well, I think, you know,
Just
I'm
have
sure
to-
Emmett would know.
Kathy
Investigate it.
Mhm.
Kathy
There might
Conlon.
be an
Kathy Conlon
angle.
would know, too. Yeah, she's a whiz.
Right, there's always an angle.
Right, and that's why, I'm not sure if it may be possible. We do take donations here, and they are just attributed to certain areas for us, you know, whether it is emergency or gifts and donations, or whether it's programs, or whether it's transportation. So we do accept that money. It's not tax deductible, that's the only thing, whereas Friends with the 501(c)(3) is tax.
But at one point, you had mentioned you weren't even sure if you were supposed, was that in the newsletter this time? The donation request? I didn't see it. Okay.
You better read that again.
I know, no, before I open my
Fourth
mouth
time.
again and put my foot in it. But at one point, you had said you weren't even sure if you were supposed to be
Right.
putting that in the newsletter. So
I
anyway.
did check on
it
that.
should be
Those
researched.
donations are
Yeah.
acceptable.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
did check on that.
Yeah.
As long as they're attributed to somewhere.
Right.
Okay.
So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up, so if anybody's interested in maybe working on
Great
that,
idea.
or
Sure.
making
I think it
connections
sounds
with
great.
We want
whoever
to.
we could work
I
on that
really
with.
do, I think that
Okay.
it would appeal to a lot of people.
So those two venues too, does it sound like that I could pursue those, whether St. Mary's for music and some kind of a light, not really dinner, not really a sit-down dinner, but food?
Hors d'oeuvres, maybe.
Heavy hors d'oeuvres.
Heavy
as they
hors
say.
d'oeuvres.
And then the idea that we need that's right, that's what comes up with the other entity, is how to get a one-day liquor license, which,
You have
if
to
you
go
get a
through the
caterer,
board.
then they usually come with the liquor license, but otherwise you need to apply for
Yeah,
one
yeah,
day.
but they're usually very accepting, aren't they?
Yes.
It's for a good cause.
Well, and that's the other, the River Club, then that would not be an issue because they
No,
have.
of course not. And St. Mary's just routinely asks for their.
Do they?
Right.
Okay. Okay. Well,
All
I'd love
right.
to do it, so if you're on
Good.
board, that
We'll
would be
think about it.
something
We
for
have
the
our little
future.
committee support here.
Okay.
Any old business?
Well, I'm just happy to have the Friendly Visitor Program being reinstituted. Goodness knows, for about 9 months now, you've heard me every meeting. So I
now
was
you
happy
can't
to,
talk about
I
it
did see
anymore.
that in the newsletter. And that will be excellent. And as it says in the newsletter, volunteers are needed for that program. So I emailed Lisa today. So anyone who wants to be a friendly visitor, which entails possibly an hour or two a week of visiting someone who is homebound or lonely or unable to come to the senior center, and just spend some time with them. So,
Good.
and I've done it in the past, and it's very worthwhile to both the person you're visiting and the visitor.
Yes.
Very rewarding, I would
And
think.
I found that it's very flexible. Once you connect with the person who wants to have a friendly visitor, between the two of you, one week you may have a busy week and you'd like to go on a Thursday at 2 o'clock for tea, but the next week you might go on a Monday at 3. You know, it's not a hard thing to do. So, anyway, so thank you, Linda, for getting that going.
Good.
Can I just make a reminder that Saturday evening, December 5th, there is the Vent Trap
Oh.
concert.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And this is really a collaboration with all the clergy in Scituate. And the funds will all go to the Scituate Food Pantry.
That's
Okay.
so
Great.
wonderful.
Tickets
So-
are $20, and it will be held in St. Mary's Hall, and
What time?
Rotary is helping along as far as, we
Yeah.
printed up 600 tickets,
Wow.
but usually they've had a pretty good group.
What's the capacity? Is that the
Crowd?
capacity, 600 there?
Wow.
Yeah, I guess it is.
So audience seating, so it's just a concert?
That's right in the church, you know?
Oh, in the
In the
church.
church.
In the church.
Oh, that's
It's
why.
held in the church.
Oh, okay.
So please pass the word around and
All right.
goes to our Scituate.
I just wanted, to-
Okay.
this is just, there's no coffee, tea, or meat?
You know, that's.
Or is it just going into the church
You-
and then going to the,
Maybe
over to the
We're still
center?
talking about if they want everyone to go over to the hall later on. I mean, that's still
Yeah.
up in the air, but
Yeah.
just give you the date and we'll let you know.
okay,
Very good.
maybe first.
And it's one woman singing?
Yes, yes.
What time?
7 PM.
Okay.
She's good.
Tonight, 7.
Yeah. I mean, last year we sold water, I think, and brownies, or just water to people, but.
In the
I mean,
church.
actually, I don't know if
In
we
the
sold, we
church?
just gave it. Gave
Say
it
that
out.
again, I'm sorry.
Outside.
Would you say?
I said last year, I think we just gave out water.
Oh, I don't know, I didn't do it the last time. You were there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but you
I don't
saw
know,
us-
Bob is talking maybe about going over to the hall, a little social and have them meet
That would be nice.
Elizabeth.
You talk about
She probably has
And-
got.
Oh, where could you buy tickets? You could speak.
meet and greet.
We could leave some here too,
We
you
can
know?
have some here, sure.
Okay, that's what we'll do. We'll leave some at the center. Okay? Thank you.
Welcome. All right. New business? Will we consider that new business?
I have one thing to bring up. I just need to remind the board that next week it will be my last week as secretary, because I
Oh.
only took this as 6 months.
That's an important reminder. Oh, my.
Leaving us.
So you're back next month in December, but then gone in January
Yeah.
and
So I
February.
just want to remind people to be sad, to think that.
Very wise.
Somebody has to.
Someone's got to
speak
step up. Mhm. Okay.
Step up.
And I do proof later, so that's part of the, you don't have to get it right the first time, completely.
Can I have a meeting, a motion for adjournment?
I make the motion to adjourn.
Second the motion.
All right. Meeting will be adjourned at
Good job, Audrey.
6:40.
Good job, Audrey.
Excellent.